But it wasn't me. I'm always surprised. I don't know if he was working or yeah, like you said, when you go into a room and contact fire to cool the whole thing,
yeah, exhaust
that works great. I can see how that works.
Right, but that's
the tools that we sell are Genesis extrication tools, and I don't say this about all of the lines that we sell because it would not be true, but I firmly believe in these tools. I believe that Genesis makes the best extrication tool on the market, and there's a lot of different reasons for that, but they've been in the business for an awful long time, and you guys will feel this when you hold these tools and when you use these tools. They're just bulletproof tools. A lot of the tool manufacturers, they don't have the forged blades that these have, and you're gonna break blades. These don't break blades. They don't have these. You'll see the gold blade inserts. When we get done cutting tools, if somebody has a business card on them, we can cut that business card with these after we've cut up a car, and it's gonna cut just like a scissors. They literally sharpen as we're using the tools. The Milwaukee battery, in my opinion, this is one of the great selling features of this particular tool, because otherwise you're using what's called a proprietary battery, and so if you're in a different tool and they're the battery manufacturer and something goes wrong with it, guess what? You can only buy the battery from that tool manufacturer. Whereas Milwaukee, this is what they do. They make batteries, and if you crack this battery open, we have this drill just so you can see that this will run one of your drills. Now, it's not the same volt as probably most of the drills in your garage, but same kind of concept, and we'll cut the windshield with this. And all of these tools are the same from front to back, right? You see the battery on the back, and then this right here, this is your hydraulic pump. This is what you normally have used to setting on and pulling the cord and starting. That's all right in here. And to turn it on, it's on. That's it. And then it's one way with the finger this way and one way with the finger that way. Open, close. And it's the same for every tool. On. The combi tool. So this is a combination cutter and spreader. Same thing. Open, close, on, off. And the ram. All of them run the same, and you'll see they all have the little light. Now, if you've ever been on a scene, you know what happens. We've got adrenaline, and we're trying to work fast, and it's confused. And so it's not uncommon that you would have this running, set it down, and leave it to go get a cutter, right? Well, if you're doing that, aren't you going to drain your battery? No, because this is going to shut off if it hasn't been run for 30 seconds. And this battery has a continuous run time of 30 minutes. So you'll see we'll cut this full car, and we'll do a full evolution on the whole car, and we'll probably get all the way through that car as well. And the battery, and we won't change batteries. We maybe on the second half of that car have to change batteries depending on how many evolutions. But you don't see any issues with these batteries. The cutter is made for the boron steel that you see in these cars now. It is specifically designed for that. Of course, we don't have a fancy new car to cut, but if we did, this would cut through that boron steel. And not every tool manufacturer can say that. So just a couple of safety things. Whoever wants to go first, what we're going to do, what Alan and I are going to do here, is just kind of walk you through a couple of evolutions. And we're not saying that this is the only way or even the right way to do this. We've designed these evolutions with the Genesis manufacturer just so that you can do different cuts and different spreads, and you can use the tool and see how it works, okay? So we never say this is the right way to do it. the only person that should say that to you is your chief on your department. So we'll show you some different techniques, but you know, if you're on Minong, you better do what Jay says or he'll make you run laps. So we're gonna start at the front of this car, and the first thing that we're gonna do with this car is something very simple. We're just gonna pop the door, okay? But we're gonna try something a little bit different to get you a purchase point. We're gonna break out we'll take the glass out first, and then we're going to stick that spreader in the door, and we're gonna spread up. And what you'll see when we spread up is you're gonna get a purchase point in that door, so you can stick your spreader in there. Well, what's another way to do that? The Halligan bar, right? So we're just doing this not because it's the only way to do it, because you can then see some of the functionality of the tool.
When you want to bust a window, you always want to come at an angle on one of the sides over here, because if you do it in the middle, it's not going to do anything. So you're going to take this, hold it up against the window, and let it rip. Just like that. Let's hit the back one here while we're at it too. I got air conditioning. So sometimes with the front windshield too, we need to get access to it, whether we're getting something on the dash or we've got a patient that's up in here somewhere. So we got a couple different tools that we can use for that. Adam's gonna hand me that tool right there, perfect. So just like everything, we're using the term purchase point. And purchase point is just to give you an angle to get better at that technique that you're using there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this tool here, we're gonna get ourselves a purchase point and get in here. Then we'll take this Milwaukee drill. It's just like a scissors. We're gonna cut all the way around the windshield and we'll fold it right out then. So that way you have better access to the patient. If you're doing something like a dash roll or something where you're gonna be able to shatter that glass into them, get that away so they don't need to be having that glass in there with them as well. So for the first responders that are around here too, a couple of key things we need to be watching out for. Airbags, if they haven't gone off, that's still a threat. Even though the battery's cut, we've got to be careful because if you clip the right wire, that static electricity from the tool or from the whatever you're using can still pop that airbag. So never put yourself between the airbag and the patient. You never want to do that. Also, if you're going to jump into a vehicle as a first responder, go ahead and come on up here. If you're going to jump into the vehicle as a first responder, have some sort of protective equipment on you, whether it's a jacket like Adam has, or if you're a firefighter too, you can put your jacket on, something to protect you and that patient when you're cutting. You never want to have that cutter right by the patient. Always have some sort of protection in between them. Whether it's just a blanket or some sort of hard backboard, you can use that as protection too. So you're going to take that tool, you're just going to punch right through and get yourself a hole. Okay, all right. So perfect, so go ahead and then flip this out. This is actually a saw. And go ahead and saw yourself to a corner over there. So go ahead and stick that in, it's just like a saw. So that's the old school way of doing it. So now grab that Milwaukee drill there. That's like a scissors. Now stick that in there and start cutting around. Which way do you think is faster? Yep, so get that, yep, nice. Perfect. You want to go ahead and open that up. Go ahead and open way up there. Go ahead and stop there for a second. So what this has done now is it's pulled the door away from that patient. We're not squeezing that patient anymore. We're giving them a little bit of breathing room while we open that door up. Keep going with it. Alright, this is a little bit exaggerated, wouldn't you think? But I like it, it's cool. But so what he's done here is he's created himself a purchase point on this side where he can now take that spreader and pop the hinges loose and get that door open. So go ahead and release that cut, or release that spread.
Now in real life, if you had this, you're going to pop the door from back here, right? Because that's going to be the easy place. But we're not doing that today because we want to show you how it pops the pin. So go ahead and pop there. And just kind of dig in so in, open a little.
The nice thing about our spreaders that Genesis has, they've got these teeth on the edge of the spreader. So when it bites into that metal, it grabs that and holds on with it. Come up right above that pin right above that. Yep, come up above that. Watch, come back in. You'll get created there. Just pull that up and let that in. There you go, nice.
Just keep going. You'll hear it going to the second stage, but that's working. It's going to pop that.
Yeah, go ahead and if you want to close it up. Go ahead and turn it. It'll pop it. Now that it's really open, get it right in right here. Beautiful. Now he's got a really nice bite on that. It'll pop that hinge right off of there. Alright, so let's pause for a second here. So we have what's pretty common in our area. Not all cars are nice. They're a little bit rusted. They're not as together. So now we've got ourselves a nice cut for the cutter. So if someone wants to grab the cutter over there, we can cut that hinge right off.
It's faulty wood, it almost came off.
You want cut? So go ahead and turn that on. Just go ahead and get out of the way. Just another safety tip for you guys too. You never want to be in between your tool and the car. Because at any time that tool can shift and pinch you right into that car, now you become the emergency. Perfect. Now if that's cut, spreader, you come in, same thing above that other hinge, go ahead and spread that right down. Peel back some of that fender flare. Something that you guys didn't notice when he was cutting there was that big loud pop when you cut something. Your normal conventional tools, they're pushing that force together and making that metal pop. With the Genesis tools and like what Adam was saying with those blades in there, you're cutting the metal. When we look at the car in the poster, it's like butter. It cuts the metal. So there's no big pop because you're not forcing the metal apart. He's pretty rusty.
What's the strength on the jaws?
They're high pressure.
So the next evolution we're going to do is going to fail. I'm going to tell you that. And here's why. We're going to spread this dash and do a dash roll, but we don't have cribbing under here. So when you do this actual evolution, you need to get some blocks under here, because what you're going to see happen is when we put the spreader in here, one's going to go here and one here, and it's just going to push that to the ground. So without that, it would roll the dash forward, but we don't have a block under there, so it's not quite going to work.
Correct.
So to do this, we're going to do two things.
If you have cribbing, absolutely.
We're going to take a chunk out of this, two cuts.
Yep.
One here, one here. We're going to get through here, pull this fender off, and we're going to do a cut in here, a relief cut. And then we're going to do another relief cut right in here. And that's going to give you enough leverage that you can put one tooth of the spreader here, one here, and you can lift that and it'll roll that dash open. And the benefit for you first responders or EMS, your spreader is going to be sitting out like this. You're going to have this whole open area, whereas if you did it with a ram, you're going to put the ram here and here, right? And so that ram gets in the way of your patient.
Winter's coming up and it gets super cold, and what does that do to the tools? Does that make them inoperable? What's going on with that? And through the manufacturing and everything, we found out that you only lose about 4 to 5 minutes of cut time. So like Adam said, you have 30 minutes cut time. on like a normal day like today, where in the winter time you have about 25 minutes of cut time. So you're really not losing anything by having a battery operated tool. Same thing goes. Same thing goes along with the tool itself too. That's 30 minutes of continuous runtime. So as your battery drains out, the tool's not going to get any less powerful. It's an all or nothing deal. Either the tool works at 100% or works at 0% when the battery's dead. I'm going to grab that. Go ahead and keep cutting. So if you guys look, I want him to cut that. If you look here, a lot of that is cutting. It's sheer force. That's not pulling the metal apart. That's not making that big huge pop. I mean, there's no pop at all there. Like I said, it's just, it's all about the butter there.
So you see, we have good lift, right? But you've got this right in the way. So they both perform the same kind of function, but the difference in the outcome is this kind of sitting in your way.
But if you look between the A-post on the roof and on the dash here, you've got a good 8-10 inches of lift out of that there too, by making a couple relief cuts in there and lifting it up.